Well, when you look at this Vikings offense, though, one, new look offense, Kirk Cousins has been asked, was there any tension between you and Zimmer? And I've talked to coaches about the whole you like that push, whatever. There was some real animosity there. Kirk Cousins definitely, took his you like that up to another notch. We saw how he treated the Redskins when they didn't really respect him, and that's where that came from. And then Mike Zimmer, hey, I've heard rumblings that I haven't won games. The fact that people in the building have said they heard Mike Zimmer say stuff about Kirk Cousins, it's gotten back to Kirk Cousins. Like, there's no way. It's like a high school. There's no way you can say stuff like that around the building and it not get back to the quarterback. And so you could tell there was something behind that. Now, is he a pro? Is he going to admit that? Not right now. Maybe when he's retired and he's trying to get his own show going, or he's jumping on the Pat McAfee show, maybe he'll let the guard down a little bit and tell the world what he thinks. Kirk Cousins doesn't realize he can throw Mike Zimmer under the bus right now and kill headlines. He doesn't have to hold back, but that's the Kirk Cousins. He's not really that guy. He's not really, an Aaron Rodgers. He's not really a Ryan Tannehill. He's not going to say something sensational that's going to sizzle on the grill. Memorial Day's coming up. And so, in my opinion, there definitely was tension. I definitely believe there was tension. There was something there. It seemed too forced to all of a sudden bring up, oh, we're gonna have this new offense, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. No. There was tension there. But then you hear Kirk Cousins talking about the offense. I've never heard Kirk Cousins really talk about how he dived into the offense, how he was excited about this new offense. Well, it was never really new. It was always kind of a Zimmer, this is what you're going to do. And Kubiak, you put it together. Clint, you do what your dad did, and let's keep going. Well, when you think about Kirk Cousins in his offense, and I heard him say, flashcards. I'm learning this Rams new look offense. I'm memorizing a lot more now. I heard Kevin O'Connell say, Kellen Mond looked great making checks in practices. So that means Kirk is going to make those checks in practices. I was able to talk to a couple Vikings higher ups, and they're excited about that because they're like, yeah, I guess Kirk never really could change the offense. And now it sounds like he can. So now we'll see, can he do it? That's the question. It's not the question of if or when. It's can he? And if he can, who knows what this offense is going to look like, because now he can change protection. He can get the play that he wants, that he has on his flashcard right now. It's like middle school. I mean, he's got flash. My daughter's got flashcards in 5th grade. He's got flashcards. He's remembering these plays. And so I'm excited about that because that is a change. That is different. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Sam?
So I think for the Vikings to get to where they want to go, which is a Super Bowl, I think they needed to open up the offense, become more pass-centric, and allow Kirk Cousins to enable Justin Jefferson to shine, to have Adam Thielen shine, and just to have a wicked, awesome passing offense. The question is, does Kirk Cousins have it in him to open up and get that done? Because in 2018, that was the one year we saw where the pass really was prioritized, to Mike Zimmer's chagrin. And Kirk Cousins probably had his most mistake-prone year in 2018, which was also another year where he was learning a new offense from scratch. 2019, 2020, 2021, very similar. He didn't have to learn a whole lot new. It was sort of similar to what he ran in Washington. And now, again, he's learning it from scratch. So I think that this needs to happen. It's a necessary change to see if Kirk Cousins can do it. The question is, can he? Can he kind of get out of this cookie cutter system where it was run the ball, play action on 3rd down, try to get the ball downfield. And I know I'm oversimplifying it, but he wasn't asked to think on his feet as much. And I think part of that was they knew it wasn't necessarily a strength of his. He's not a freelancer. He doesn't like changing plays at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't like having to wheel and deal too much, because that tends to be when mistakes get made for Kirk Cousins. So can he be comfortable with a nurturing head coach in a little more aggressive style of offense and playmaking?
Yeah, and so your question to me was, can Kirk Cousins get it done, or will this affect him? My answer, short, no. He's had to learn new offenses. Yes, there were some tweaks here and there were some changes, but it was new. There was a new voice in his headset. There was a new quarterbacks coach. Even though his quarterbacks coach was Clint and then he moved offensive coordinator, you now still get a new quarterbacks coach. And so you're not spending as much time with that quarterbacks coach that you liked. Now the head coach it trickles down. The head coach is the coordinator. So the head coach is going to the other offensive staff members, and he's going to the other quarterback's coach. And he was a quarterback. So he's spending a lot of time with Kirk Cousins. So I premise it like this. When you look at Kirk Cousins, I look at Kirk Cousins as not a newborn baby because he's been around. He's a toddler, though. Kirk Cousins is a toddler. And how do you get a toddler to eat properly? You could leave a spoon sitting there with applesauce and kind of coach him up to go get that applesauce. And Sam, you got young kids. Good luck. Let's see what happens. Will it all get in his mouth? Will it end up on the wall? Is it on the couch? Is it going to be on the carpet? You know, I feel like a P.D. Pablo song. You know, is it under the cookie? Is it under the chair? I give you anything you no. That's a different song. Y'all not ready for that one. But when you think about Kirk Cousins, he's getting spoon-fed. Kevin O'Connell and that offensive staff, they're sitting there with a spoon, and they're feeding Kirk. And Kirk is eating it all up.
Could you say that again? My apologies. I couldn't.
Sorry.
That's definitely staying in the final edit. We're just going to leave that in.
Siri wants to be involved in this conversation, clearly. She heard spoon-fed Kirk Cousins. She's like, I'm in. But he wants to be spoon-fed. Kirk Cousins wants to be spoon-fed. He wants to make sure he's doing everything right because he's a perfectionist. Perfectionists, even though they like to be perfect, they still like to be told that was a good job. You're perfect. I remember that. I remember being a young receiver one time. I'll never forget this. I was a young receiver with the Baltimore Ravens. I think it was my third year. It was my third year. Deion Sanders was on the team. We were in preseason playing like the Giants. And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I didn't do a great job my first 2 years really watching film and understanding certain coverages. And so the Giants ran this coverage where the corner would blitz, safety would come over, safety came down, corner went back. So they still were in like a cover 2, but they blitzed a corner instead of blitzing like a safety or backer. And I remember my corner blitzing. And in most games, when your corner blitzes, you change your route. Well, the Giants, and this was when the Giants were pretty good, the Giants would set you up to think like, hey, he blitzed, it's some kind of zone or some kind of man coverage, you're hot. No, the protection would pick it up because it's the same number of rushers. They're still in the cover 2 shell. And anyway, long story short, I figured it out. And Brian Billick and the receiver coaches all week, they had been like talking to us about this blitz and watch out for this blitz. It's only going to come 2 to 3 times a game. So we're watching all this film, but the point was we didn't want to throw an interception. Kyle Bowler was our new young quarterback. We didn't want to get him hit and blindside. And so it happened. I ran the correct route. They throw it to me in the zone hole, blah, blah. We come off the field. And I remember going to Brian Billick like, Coach, I watched that on film. Coach, I saw it. I did. And he's probably in his mind, he's like, yeah, good job. But dude, you should know that. Like, that's not special. But for me, it was a special milestone because I had never really deep dived into some of the coverages. I made a lot of mistakes my rookie year with coverage, not understanding man versus zone because the NFL is just different than college. And I kick myself for that. But I think that's where Kirk is. He's a perfectionist and he just wants the coaches to know, hey, I did it right. I'm learning it. I'm going to get it right. Just keep feeding me. And that's what we're getting with Kirk Cousins. And I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's going to thrive in this offense now because they're going to get him fed all the way up into training camp. And then he's going to be a nice, big, tall senior in high school, ready to come out there after mom and dad and all the coaches have fed him well, gave him all the things he needs to be mentally. Because don't forget, mental health is huge. You can beat somebody into the ground mentally by just doing little things here and there to just get under their skins. Just like that's why so many players, Calvin Ridley, these guys are taking mental health breaks away from football because of the pressure. Well, now you alleviate that pressure. What I've heard was pressure burst pipes. Eventually that pipe's going to burst, whether it's mental, physical, or you just quit. Well, now you alleviate that pressure. Kevin O'Connell came in with a wrench, screwdriver. He's got a couple new pipes to add to Kirk Cousins so he can alleviate that pressure on Kirk Cousins. I think we're going to get a good quarterback out of this. I think we're going to have a great offense out of this. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to do what needs to be done to make sure Kirk Cousins is good. I got some Kyle Shanahan stuff in there, but we'll save that because Kyle Shanahan, if you look at what Kyle Shanahan did with Matt Ryan and then when he left, what Matt Ryan became after he left. Coach matters. Players are good, but coach matters. We're going to talk to Darius Butler about that one next on the Ron Johnson Show. Stick around. If you enjoy the Ron Johnson Show, you'll enjoy our other daily show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's Superior Sports Talk with KARE 11 Sports Director Reggie Wilson and co-host Luke Inman. Whether it's Twins, Vikings, Wolves, or Wild, Reggie and Luke cover it all with all the breaking news and big opinions. Catch the show 5 days a week by subscribing to Locked On Sports Minnesota's YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts.